Good morning, all my morning devotion people. I'm so glad that you are here today. I need to probably got a little thing on my screen here this morning. I'm wondering if eh, I think no matter what I do, you're going to see that reflection. I'm sorry. We'll wait a few minutes and see if anybody's up and about this morning. Try these. I can put these down on my nose a little bit. So, what do you have planned for your day today? I was thinking about sharing with you some of the different ways to do your own morning devotions. I don't mind being with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but there are those days when you might want to get up and have a little devotion time. So let me once again recommend to you the process called Examen, Axamen. It's an ancient process of reflection that comes out of the monastic community, I believe. And Bishop Emeritus Roger, who many of you know, was doing this for many years in the evening, which is when it was intended to be done. And he decided it would be a really good thing to do in the morning. So I have posted, there's 5 questions that you reflect on, and I've posted those. They're on the front of the web page, so on the home page. In what used to be the calendar section down below, there are 5 questions there. So if you'd like to write those down and have those someplace that you can see them wherever you perch in the morning, and just kind of go through these. So I'm going to read those real quickly, and then if if some folks join me, we'll do what I had planned for the devotion this morning. So the first thing is to center yourselves, take a nice deep breath, and then the first thing is to ask God for light. It's always a good time to light your candle and ask God to bring light to your day and perhaps to your reflections for the day, your prayers for the day. And that's just a nice thing to do. My candle seems to be, there we go, making a little bit more light. Where might you see your day through God's eyes? And then the second one is to preview the day with gratitude, to look throughout the day and anticipate those points um, where you will receive a gift. Might be a day where you have a certain routine that has become a gift for you, but give yourself some time. The third thing is to anticipate God's blessings, and to think about where in the day you might actually look for God's blessings. That will expand, I hope, for you, that each day you will think of a new place where you might see God's blessings. The fourth thing then is to focus in on what point, and on what part of the day that is just now dawning might be a challenge for you. And then make sure that you offer that to God in prayer. And then ask for wisdom, for God to show you what He may be calling you to do in a new direction. I would hope that you would use this morning Examen daily, and as I say, go to the front page of the website and write down these 5 questions, so you have them, tuck them in your Bible or your devotional book or whatever you use in the morning, and do them. Obviously, each one of these questions you should spend a little bit more time with than just what I just did. But I want to read those to you again. Probably good. I'll include that at least once each week as we gather to do these devotions. Um, I've seen a couple of people liking, but nobody has logged in. But I'm going to go ahead. If you're watching, if you would just send me a quick note so that I know that you're here, because right now my screen is completely empty. So I don't know if because it seems to have gotten light a little bit earlier this morning, or maybe I'm a little bit later. I don't know, but today I wanted to talk. Oh, there you are. There you are. Thank you. Appreciate that. Um, I wanted to talk today about silence because I think many of us who don't have little ones still at home or don't have or aren't having access to them now are finding yourselves with more silence than you probably had in your life before March 13th. Um, and that's a good thing. So some people like to fill the silence. I used to always kid my mom and dad when I would go to visit that they had the TV on all the time. Nobody was watching. In fact, it was sometimes in a different room, but it was just background noise for their lives. And I thought, if you're looking for background noise, find some good music and use that instead. It's much more uplifting than what you might pass by on the television. So to use your silence that you have to fill yourself with the emptiness and the space for God to come and enter in. And I wanted to start this morning by reading. I have to come over here to the light so I can see it. By reading from Second Kings. This is a pretty familiar story, but I think it's a good one for us to read today. Now I have to change my glasses back. Anybody have this problem with me? There we go. This is from First Kings in the 19th chapter, verses 11 to 13. The title of it is Elijah Meets God at Horeb. God said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of sheer silence. I've always loved that, partially because it seems like everybody else in the Bible is running around and doing stuff all the time, which is basically how my life had been. I tried very, very hard to have some silence in my life, to have some quiet time, but as you know, sometimes life intervenes with those great intentions. And so I was intrigued to be listening kind of to and reading a lot, online and clergy groups that I have online, reading a lot about how people seem to be getting very contemplative today, already trying to make sense of what this means, how this stay-at-home time might actually change their lives or change the country or change the world. A lot of comment about how having this kind of fire break in life of the globe has looks to be a good time, that nature is beginning to breathe again, and certain signs of nature taking hold again and asserting herself. So go, Mother Nature, please do that if you can. But I think people are finding ways to think about their own lives. And I would encourage you to do that. I mean, I think it's always good for us to try to be interpreting what's going on in our lives and why, and maybe why our reactions are way they are. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get rid of that glare in my glasses. But the whole idea of having having a third eye or having a different perspective on your life so that you can move forward and that you can look for those places where God might be speaking to you, and kind of reorienting choices and decisions and paths that you have made. And I'm not saying that God's going to call you out of something that you love. What I'm saying is that God will guide you, in those places of confusion, and sometimes in those places that you love. But the calling to go do more or to follow more closely, um, I believe, usually leads you more to who you were called to be, who you were created to be in the first place. So, the listening and trying to evaluate the decisions that you've made and the life that you've made for yourself, I think, is all a conversation with God. Um, I wanted to read from a different author who has meant a lot to me over the years, and he is a Jesuit brother who wrote extensively in the, probably late 80s, early 90s. So this was as I was preparing to go to seminary and to really grab a hold of this claim that God has on my life. I ran across this first book called Wellsprings, and it's a number of kind of meditation type things. And I thought about it the other day. So when I was in the office yesterday, I picked it up off my bookshelf and opened it up. And the first one I opened it up to was the perfect one for what I wanted to do today. And it is called The Vacation. I'm sorry. I should have known I wouldn't be able to make it with those other glasses. It's called The Vacation. And I'm going to do some conversation with you here, but there'll be a lot of silence in this. So just kind of get yourself in a nice breathing centered place, and so that you can listen and actually let your brain move on. One of the things that he recommends in these readings is that if you get stuck someplace and start thinking about something and kind of go off on your own, go ahead. You can come back. Don't worry about it. So anyway, this is called The Vacation. I imagine I retire to a lonely place to give myself the gift of solitude. For solitude is a time when I see things as they are. What are the little things in life that lack of solitude has magnified unduly? What are the really big things that I have found too little time for? Solitude is a time to make decisions. What decisions do I need to make or reconsider at this point in my life? I now make a decision about the kind of day today will be. Will it be a day of doing? I list the things I really want to get done today. Or could it also be a day of being? No effort to achieve, to get things done, to gather or possess, but just to be. My life will not bear fruit unless I learn the art of lying fallow, the art of wasting time creatively. So I decide what time to give to play, to purposelessness and unproductive interests, to silence, to intimacy, to rest. And I ask myself, what shall I taste today? And touch and smell and listen to and see. I think probably as a Jesuit brother, DeMello probably used the Examen or something similar to it every day, where he could kind of look into his day and seek those places of blessing and places of focus. Because as a brother, he would have kept the religious orders of the day, where every couple of hours the bells would ring and he would be called to prayer. I like that. I wish, that I had the discipline to do that. But one of the things that I have been able to do, and I'm going to tell you about it and then leave you with a hopefully an image. And that is, I've spoken about this before and how helpful it is. And that is that instead of continuing to scroll on Facebook or whatever, wherever you are that you're watching this, when we finish here in a minute, I would like you to set down your phone and turn it off, look at the time, and then remain wherever you are. Hopefully you're in a comfortable chair, and sit in absolute silence for 5 minutes. Doesn't sound like a long time, but it will be a very long time. You can watch the clock or not. If you fall asleep, that's good. But if you can open your mind to let God speak, God will. These are the times of emptying for us. These are times when we do not have the control that we normally enjoy. And so these are the times I believe that God has given us and provided this window so that we can learn some new things and put some new things into our daily schedule that we never would have put in the midst of the agenda that we were all keeping. This is a time to recreate a new life, and I think that's what I'm trying to call us all to do. So take advantage of that time. Take advantage of this time. Take the time as we come towards the final week of Lent. This is a special time for you to really think about how you will move forward. And I leave with you then, before your 5-minute silence, again, this passage always gets to me, and it just works so well with that King's passage about Elijah that I read earlier. And that is Psalm 46:10, and that is that very familiar one that says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's a psalm for the day. At this point, I would like to give you 5 minutes, or you to give yourself 5 minutes. Just be silent. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Look for the blessings and the gifts. Use the silence and just be. I love you and I miss you. Have a good day.